Welcome to the Explainer by IELTS Guide Phil on YouTube. Today, we are diving deep into a really practical part of the IELTS exam, the General Training Writing Task 1. You know, if you've ever found yourself scratching your head, wondering, should this letter be formal or maybe semi-formal? Well, you are in exactly the right place. We're going to start with the absolute basics. Then we'll get into the most important skill, mastering the tone. After that, I'll give you a simple blueprint that works for any letter, and finally, we'll look at how to really boost your score and avoid those common mistakes. So let's jump right in. All right, first things first, let's build that foundation. What in the world is this task actually asking you to do? So at its core, Task 1 is really just a practical letter writing test. They'll give you a pretty normal, everyday situation. You know, maybe you need to complain about a faulty product or invite a friend to a party. Your job is to write a letter that fits that situation. It's all about testing how well you can communicate in a clear and, most importantly, appropriate way for real-life scenarios. Now, pay close attention to this slide because it's super important. It shows you why you absolutely can't afford to slack off on Task 1. Yeah, sure, the big essay in Task 2 is worth a massive 2/3 of your writing score. But look, Task 1 still makes up that crucial final third. If you ignore it, you're pretty much guaranteeing you won't get the high score you're capable of. And then there's the clock. It's a huge factor here. The official advice is to spend about 20 minutes on this task, and you really want to stick to that. Think about it. Every single minute you go over on this task is a minute you're stealing from the much more important Task 2. So you've got to be efficient. Get in, plan, write, do a quick review, and get out, all within that 20-minute window. And here is a number that you need to burn into your brain, 150. That is the absolute minimum number of words you have to write. If you write less than that, you will lose marks, no questions asked. So my advice, always aim for a little bit more, say around 170 to 180 words, just to be on the safe side. Okay, let's move on to what I honestly believe is the single biggest decision you're going to make in Task 1. It's not about having some brilliant, complex idea. It's all about picking the right tone and sticking with it. So, as this table shows, you've basically got three choices. For an informal letter, say to a good friend or your cousin, you can be chatty and use contractions like I'm or don't, no problem. For a semi-formal letter, maybe to your landlord or a coworker, you want to be polite and respectful. But that last one, the formal letter, this is where so many people trip up. When you're writing to a company or a manager, your tone has to be professional. And here is the golden rule, the one thing you have to remember. Absolutely no contractions. It has to be I am, not I'm. Do not don't. Seriously, getting this one detail right is a huge step towards a great score. So, you've figured out the perfect tone. Now what? How do you actually put the letter together? Well, the good news is there's a super simple blueprint that works for every single Task 1 letter you'll ever write. This right here, this is your key to success. It's a perfect structure every single time. Look how simple it is. You start with your opening, then paragraph 1 has one and only one job. Tell them why you're writing. Get straight to the point. After that, it's just follow the leader. Paragraph 2 covers the first bullet point from the question, paragraph 3 covers the second, and paragraph 4 takes care of the third. You wrap it up with a closing, and you're done. If you follow this structure, you literally cannot miss anything the examiner is looking for. And here's a perfect example of what that purpose statement should look like in a formal letter. I am writing to express my dissatisfaction. See how direct and clear that is? There is zero confusion. The person reading it knows exactly why you're writing within the first 10 seconds. And that is precisely your goal for that first paragraph. Okay, so we've covered the what and the how. Now, let's talk about the real goal here, getting the highest score you can. And that means understanding how they grade you, and maybe even more importantly, knowing what common mistakes to steer clear of. Think of your score as a pie, cut into 4 perfectly equal slices. Each one is worth 25%. You've got task achievement, did you do what the question asked? Coherence and cohesion, does your letter make sense and flow well? Lexical resource, that's your vocabulary. And grammatical range and accuracy, well, that's your grammar. Because it's split so evenly, you really can't afford to have a weak spot in any one of these areas. So what is the number one most common mistake that people make? It's this, using the wrong tone. I really can't say this enough. You could have the most beautiful grammar in the world, but if your tone is wrong for the situation, your score is going to take a nosedive. I mean, just imagine for a second sending this to the manager of a big company. It's just way, way too casual. Words like, hey, you guys, and signing off with cheers are completely out of place in a formal complaint. This is a perfect example of what not to do. And here's the fix. It's so simple, but it makes all the difference. Instead of that casual, hey, you guys, you start with a professional, I am writing to express my concern. It's a small change, but it completely shifts the feeling of the letter. The language is now formal, polite, and direct. You're still talking about the same problem, but you're doing it in a way that's right for the context. And that is exactly what gets you the points. Lastly, I've got a fantastic little memory trick for you for those formal letter closings. It's super simple. If you start your letter with Dear Sir or Madam because you don't know their name, you end it with yours faithfully. Just remember, you have faith you're writing to the right person. But if you start with a name like Dear Mr. Smith, you end with yours sincerely, since you already know their name. It's a silly little trick, but trust me, it'll stop you from making an easy mistake. So there you have it. We've covered the basics, the absolute key skill of tone, a simple blueprint to follow in the secrets to scoring high. We've gone through all the theories, so I guess the big question now is, are you ready to actually put all of this into practice? This whole explainer was based on material written and produced by IELTS Guide Phil. So if you're ready to take that next step, you can read the original full blog post that this was based on. You can watch more explainers just like this one right here on the YouTube channel. You can listen to some really deep dive episodes on the Spotify podcast, or you can join the amazing Facebook community for even more resources and support. All the links for everything I just mentioned are waiting for you right in the description below. Thanks so much for watching and good luck with all your preparation.